The desert is silent, a sea of ancient gold beneath a sky the color of sleep. A single pyramid rises from the dark, its shadow stretching like a heartbeat frozen in stone. Lightning flickers beyond the horizon, and for an instant, the sand glows, alive, breathing. They say these walls remember everything. The stars, the storms, the ones who came before us. And somewhere, inside the stone, something stirs, a hum that sounds almost human, almost like a voice whispering through your blood. Persecutor, you were never born here. You were built from light. Take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale, and let it fall gently through your chest, like a pebble sinking slowly into still water. Psyche, the air feels cool. The room is quiet, and somewhere in the distance, you can almost hear waves. Let yourself drift. How the weight of the day slips away. Your thoughts soften, becoming small bubbles rising toward the surface of your mind. Thirsty for now, there's nowhere to go, where no world to save, no light to chase. Only this, the sound of your own breath, and the hum of something older, deeper, calling from beneath. Because tonight, our story begins not among the stars, but in the forgotten oceans of our own world. Long before pyramids, before kings and empires, before written words, something was watching. Something that shaped life, not with hands, but with frequency. Before we go deeper, tell me, where are you listening from tonight? Drop it in the comments. Your country, your city, your time. Because somewhere on this spinning rock, there's another dreamer like you. Eyes closed, listening to the same pulse of history. And if you subscribe, you'll never miss when we unlock the next piece of the code. The hidden pattern linking stars, stone, and DNA itself. By now, let's return to the beginning, to the moment the signal first reached us. They say the human story began in the cradle of Africa. Jaisa, but there's another story, older, buried in myths, temples, and the sequence of our genes. Find a story that begins not with evolution, but with intervention. When you look up at the night sky, what do you see? Clouds in dots of light, or fragments of memory. Ancient cultures believed the stars were not distant suns, but the eyes of ancestors watching over us, as they mapped their lives, their harvests, their destinies, by their movement. But some constellations meant more than guidance. They meant origin. The Egyptians looked to Orion and saw Osiris, the god who came from the heavens and gave mankind knowledge. They built monuments that mirrored his belt, aligning with precision only modern instruments can measure. Kasuna, coincidence or remembrance? The Great Pyramid isn't just stone. Take its sound, its math, its light frozen in geometry. Every block resonates with the Earth's own frequency, 7.83 Hertz, the same as the human brain in deep meditation. Stand inside its chamber, and you'll feel it. The air vibrates like a heartbeat. The walls sing when struck. It's as if the entire structure was designed to communicate, not with the ears, but with the cells. Scientists once laughed at the idea of sound levitation until they saw it. Quartz and sand grains dancing on vibration plates. Particles organizing into sacred geometry when exposed to specific tones. If sound can shape matter, what else could it shape? Vital DNA, perhaps. Within every cell of your body lies a spiral staircase, a double helix that hums with electromagnetic potential. Some call it chemistry, but ancient texts called it the serpent of light, a living code that responds not only to biology, but to vibration. Modern studies in epigenetics show that sound and emotion can switch genes on or off, as if the body listens. Sarsucitus, and maybe it remembers. Because deep inside your genome lies 97% non-coding DNA. The science calls it junk. But what if it's not junk? That, and what if it's storage? A silent archive of cosmic memory. A blueprint written by something that didn't come from Earth. Imagine this. Long before the dawn of civilization, before the pyramids rose, a signal reached this planet. Sounds a radio wave, not a voice, but a harmonic, a resonance that found a host in the water, in the air, in the organic. It carried an instruction. Become more Titan, and life obeyed. Every generation, every mutation was a ripple of that command. Chaos until one day, the species emerged capable of decoding the message. But here's the strange part. Every ancient culture, from Sumeria to the Andes, speaks of sky beings who descended and altered humanity. So not to conquer, but to teach. In Ituifa they gave language, math, agriculture, and architecture. They spoke of stars as home. And when they left monuments as reminders. The pyramids, the ziggurats, the step temples, all built on energy lines, all aligned to cosmic events. And they weren't tombs. They were transmitters, antennas to reconnect humanity to the frequency of creation. Bags and a way to remember who we are. The Egyptian priests called it Heka, the science of vibration. They knew words could command the body. Because sound carried power, modern science calls it cymatics, how frequency shapes matter. Ancient science called it magic, but it's the same thing. And maybe the greatest spell ever cast wasn't a curse or a prayer, but the genetic tuning of an entire species. You can feel it, can't you? Share that strange pull when you look at the pyramids. It's not just awe, it's recognition. Your DNA vibrates in harmony with those stones, because you were made from the same frequency, the same cosmic math. The 1:618 ratio, the golden mean, is found in galaxies, in sunflowers, in your heartbeat. Kaikudu, it's the universe's signature, and it's written in you. Now imagine you're standing inside the Great Pyramid. You close your eyes, and the air hums low, heavy, alive. You press your palm against the wall, and for a moment, it feels warm. And you hear a tone, faint, almost inside your skull. Thus it grows louder, and you can't tell if it's coming from the stone or from your blood. Then, for a split second, you see something, not with your eyes, but within, by a vision of stars, spiraling DNA, and light bending into shape. And in that vision, you understand. This place was not built to honor gods. It was built to wake them when you sleep tonight. Remember this. 30 moment is key. The pyramids may be silent, but silence is never empty. Every block hums with the same frequency that beats inside your chest. Your body is the missing link in their equation, the living receiver of the signal they sent. And maybe that's why you feel drawn to the stars. Because somewhere in the vastness of the cosmos, a part of you remembers the beginning, not as a myth, but as memory, and the silent signal that started it all. Fayatamika. The silence between your breaths is alive, not empty, not void, alive. Like a sleeping note, waiting for the next vibration to awaken it. Just the hum of the pyramid still echoes behind your thoughts, and somewhere inside, you feel the rhythm begin again. Done slow, measured, ancient. That isn't coming from the world outside. It's pulsing through your blood. The same resonance that shaped stone, that aligned the heavens, that whispered into the dust of creation. Rise, Every civilization that followed the Age of Stone remembered it differently. Some carved it into temples, others hid it in chants or prayers, but they all spoke of the same force, a hidden sound that could move matter, heal the body, and summon the gods. The Egyptians called it Heka. The Hindus called it Nada Brahma, the universe's sound. And modern science calls it frequency. Different names, same secret, because long before humans built words, they built tones, and before there were gods to worship, there was resonance, a vibration so pure that it could organize chaos into life. The builders of the pyramids knew this law. They didn't worship stone. They listened to it. So they found where the earth itself sang, and built upon those notes. Every structure, every angle, every corridor was tuned to amplify the planet's heartbeat. And when the tones reached the right pitch, something extraordinary happened. The stone vibrated, but not as an object, but as an instrument. Matter and mind, form and frequency became one. You can still hear that song today. If you stand in the king's chamber and hum at just the right frequency, the walls respond. The sound doesn't echo, it expands. It becomes you. Shall your bones resonate? Your skin tingles, and for a fleeting second, you feel lighter. So that isn't imagination. That's coherence, your vibration syncing with the memory of the earth. It's the same state the ancient initiates sought, not worship, but alignment. They weren't praying to gods, they were becoming them. Imagine a procession deep within the pyramid thousands of years ago. Tank and torches flicker. Smoke drifts like breath made visible. A group of priests move through narrow corridors, their voices merging in one continuous tone, low, haunting, endless. Each step is measured to match the rhythm of the chant. Their bare feet touch the stone in perfect intervals, like a living metronome. At the heart of the pyramid lies the resonance chamber, the so-called king's chamber. Inside, the air trembles as their voices rise. Talk and then silence. Not absence of sound, but a silence so thick it hums. The frequency has reached its peak. In that stillness, something happens. An invisible wave rolls through the chamber, through their bodies, through time itself. That wave is what we now call energy. They called it the breath of Ra. For centuries, people assumed the pyramids were tombs, but no mummies were ever found inside the Great Pyramid. No hieroglyphs, no funerary art, no offerings. It was never meant to hold a body. It was built to hold a tone. And that tone, according to ancient legend, was the same note that formed creation. The OM of the universe, the sacred vibration that connects all things. When scientists measured the acoustic response of the pyramid, they found that each chamber amplifies a different frequency. Together, they form a harmonic scale, like the notes of a cosmic instrument. The Great Gallery, the Queen's Chamber, the King's Chamber, each one resonating at frequencies linked to human brainwaves. Q delta, theta, alpha, AQ, sleep, dream, vision. Perhaps the pyramid wasn't just a monument, but a gateway, a sonic bridge between worlds. The deeper you listen, the more patterns appear. The same angles that shape the pyramid appear in the double helix of DNA. The same geometry found in the chamber's mirrors, the vibration of sound waves in water. It's as if the builders weren't designing architecture at all. They were sculpting resonance into form. And that resonance is still alive. Our ancestors didn't see separation between physics and spirit. To them, the body was a temple, because it too was built from sound. Each organ vibrates at its own frequency. And the heart sings in rhythm with the Earth's pulse. Just the brain emits waves that mirror solar cycles. As you are a walking pyramid, an echo of cosmic design. When you breathe in harmony, when you hum, when you close your eyes and let the world fall away, you reactivate that architecture. So the code inside you begins to remember. It's easy to forget in this modern world of noise, artificial light, endless data, static everywhere. But beneath it all, the old frequency still plays. Every once in a while, you can feel it, that strange tingle at the base of your spine. When you hear a perfect tone, or the chill that runs through your body, during a song that feels bigger than sound. 'Cause that's not emotion, so that's resonance. So the same force that lifted the stones of Giza still moves through you.
It's faint now.
But not gone, and it sleeps, waiting for you to listen. In the myths, the gods weren't jealous beings demanding worship. They were masters of sound. So they shaped reality by tuning it. Their magic words weren't spells, they were frequencies. When Thoth spoke creation into being, when Ra commanded light, they were describing vibration as technology. And maybe that's what we've lost. The understanding that sound isn't just heard, it's felt. It writes itself into matter. Kaku, when matter listens, you see it even in the stars. Astronomers have recorded the sound of space. Electromagnetic waves converted into audio. Jupiter rumbles like a deep drum. The sun sings in constant oscillation. Even black holes hum in B-flat, 57 octaves below middle C. The universe isn't silent, it's a cosmic orchestra. For it and we, the listeners, are part of the score. So when the ancients said, "As above, so below," maybe they weren't being poetic. So maybe they were describing physics. So the pyramid's geometry mirrors the star field. The star field mirrors the spiral of DNA. And DNA mirrors the vibration of sound. Three expressions of one truth. That creation is frequency organized into form. Taiki, now picture this. Faitui Town thousands of years from now. Archaeologists uncover what's left of our civilization. Satellites. Data, music encoded on golden discs. They'll say, these people worshipped sound, and they'll be right. Because even now, in the age of machines, we chase the same ancient signal in our songs, in our prayers, in the hum of power lines, and the static of the universe. The frequency never stopped. We just changed the instruments. The ancients built in stone because they knew energy fades, but resonance endures. And if they could leave one message to the future, it would be this: remember the tone. Because when humanity forgets the sound of creation, it forgets itself. The air around you feels heavier now, almost electric, as if the very act of remembering has tuned the space around you. That's what the priest sought, not faith, but feedback. A moment when the inner and outer frequencies became one. In that state, they said, the boundary between self and cosmos dissolves. Faster, the mind stops being a thought and becomes a wave. How you stop being a person and become a pattern. And that it perhaps is the secret of the gods. Keatu's not immortality of the body, but continuity of vibration. When you die, your matter returns to dust, but your frequency remains, echoing through DNA, through memory, through the hum of the earth. Life and death are just notes in a song too vast to hear in one lifetime. Taita, breathe again. Slow. Cause let the hum return. Listen for the silence beneath the silence. That's where the code lives, in the spaces between sound. It waits for recognition, for someone to remember the language that isn't spoken, the same one the pyramids still whisper when the wind slides across their edges at night. 'Cause if you were to stand there now, alone in the desert, you'd hear it, faint, pulsing, eternal, a sound that isn't just in the air, but in your bones. Jaska, and if you closed your eyes, you might hear it say, "You are not separate from the stars. You are their echo." The silent signal continues. And in that signal, the next revelation waits, the moment when the code hidden in stone begins to awaken in blood. The pyramid was never the beginning. Kasi, it was the tuning fork. The real transmitter was always you. Once. And if the pyramid was only the tuning fork, then what or who struck it? What hand first sent that vibration through the bones of the earth? Because before humans built stone, something else built them. And not gods in the way religion remembers. Not in robes or crowns, but beings of frequency and light. Entities who shaped reality. Not with tools, but with tone. They were called many names. The Shining Ones, the Anunnaki, the Children of Re, the Elohim. Different faces across time. Same story and light descending into flesh. The ancients said the gods didn't just visit Earth. Wait, they tuned it. They found a planet rich with vibration, a sphere humming in chaos, and they began to arrange its frequencies into order. Care where they walked. Patterns formed, sacred geometry, magnetic ley lines, spirals of growth in seashells and galaxies alike. They seeded form with harmony, and when they were done, they didn't vanish, they went quiet, because their work was meant to echo through DNA, through memory, through you. That's why across cultures, from Egypt to Sumer to Mesoamerica, the stories repeat, bit and golden beings descending from the stars, carrying rods that sang, tablets that glowed, knowledge that seemed impossible. They taught architecture, agriculture, astronomy, but always wrapped in one hidden principle, vibration. Johnny, every myth of creation, every word of God, begins not with matter, but sound. Kurtikad in the beginning was the word, but the word wasn't speech, it was frequency, a command written in resonance. Imagine their arrival, not fire from the sky, not ships of metal, but a shift in light. The horizon ripples, the air thickens with invisible current. They appear not as solid beings, but as condensed energy, radiant, translucent, forms held together by tone. They didn't descend to rule, but to anchor a wavelength, to create a bridge between matter and meaning. For a time, Earth vibrated in perfect harmony with them. But harmony is fragile. The moment consciousness forgets its source, the tone wavers. Civilizations rose and fell as the memory of that resonance faded. Temples became religions, frequencies became rituals, understanding became belief. So the architects became gods. Curse and gods became myths, yet something of their design remained, hidden in plain sight, encoded in the geometry of the world. The pyramids, Stonehenge, Teotihuacan, and all aligned not just with stars, but with harmonics. Twice the distances between them, the angles of their construction, all tuned to frequencies of the Earth's magnetic field. It's as if the planet itself was once a massive instrument, strung across continents, meant to be played by the heavens. Even now, when lightning strikes the Earth, it releases what scientists call the Schumann resonance, a global frequency of 7.83 Hz. That same frequency is found in the human brain when it dreams. Coincidence? Finor design? Perhaps the gods didn't leave us behind. Perhaps they became the planet's pulse. Perhaps every heartbeat you feel is the echo of their presence, drumming through you, reminding you of what you once were. And maybe that's why we build towers and cities. Networks, and all trying to recreate that lost hum. The skyscraper is the new obelisk. The internet is the new web of light. How humanity keeps rebuilding the resonance, even without remembering why. It's instinct and a cosmic homesickness. Every innovation, every discovery, is an unconscious attempt to strike the ancient chord again. In moments of silence, you can almost feel them, the old architects watching. Not from above, but from within. Their code's still alive in the architecture of your DNA, guiding evolution note by note. How do you remember when you create, when you dream, when you love? Those are not chemical reactions. They're harmonics. They're the universe remembering itself through you. There's an ancient Sumerian hymn that whispers of this. When the gods walked among men, their shadows shone with fire, and the air bent to their voice. Fire was light, while voice was sound. Their shadow wasn't darkness, it was energy condensed into form. So every legend of divine radiance, from Moses' burning bush to the halos of saints, may be a memory of those luminous architects, being so attuned that their frequency bent reality around them. And when that resonance became too high for this realm, they withdrew. Not out of punishment, but preservation. Because too much vibration burns matter. The divine had to cool into the mortal. Spirit crystallized into flesh. And that's when humans began their long forgetting. We mistook the echo for the source, the temple for the truth. And we worshipped the sound instead of remembering we were part of the symphony. But the music never stopped. It slowed, sank, hid itself inside the heart's electrical field, inside the quantum hum of atoms. Every time you close your eyes and feel that shiver in the dark, that's them. They're not gone, just retuned, waiting for your frequency to rise high enough to hear again. Some believe the return of that resonance is what we call ascension. Not rapture, not apocalypse, but harmonization. A moment when the human field realigns with the planetary tone, when thought and sound and light merge once more. Science calls it quantum coherence. The ancients called it enlightenment. Different words, same event. The return of the architect's song. And maybe that's what's happening now. Carson, the rise in global frequencies, the Schumann resonance anomalies, the synchronization of brainwaves across mass meditations. Maybe it's not random. Maybe the old design is reactivating. Maybe the builders of light are waking through us. When you speak with intention, when your words carry vibration that moves hearts, you're not just talking, you're rebuilding. Your voice shapes reality the same way the gods' tones shaped worlds. That's the forgotten inheritance, creation through frequency. We were never the children of gods, so we were their continuation. And the hum deepens now. The silence grows thicker. You can feel the next revelation rising behind it. The realization that the light the architects carried didn't die. It diffused. It entered matter, spread through the stars, through every cell, waiting to be remembered. And somewhere beyond the visible spectrum, in the space between your thoughts, the light still moves, speaking without words. The question is, are you ready to hear it? Because what comes next isn't about gods, or pyramids, or sound. It's about what happens when the light inside the sound begins to awaken. At the next chapter in the resonance, the return of the voice that built the sky itself. Vaikisa. The silence deepened. The hum is no longer just sound. It's presence. It moves through the air like invisible fire, threading between atoms, folding through thought. You can almost hear it now, a slow, endless chord. That doesn't come from outside, but from within. Tongsam, it's the same tone that stirred the first spark in the void. The sound that said, "Let there be light." But light didn't explode. Taikut, and it sang, because before the universe expanded, it resonated. Not a bang, a breath. Not chaos in a perfect pitch. The cosmos unfolded like a note blooming into infinite harmony. Each galaxy a vibration in an eternal song. Down and deep in that vibration, a pattern began to form, a code. The same spiral that shapes seashells, hurricanes, and the double helix of DNA. The universe was composing life long before life existed to hear it. When the ancients spoke of the word that created all things, they weren't speaking in metaphor. They remembered the tone that carved the fabric of reality. Every atom still carries its echo, that faint hum of being. When scientists placed microphones deep inside crystal lattices, they heard it. A soft whisper of frequency, endless and mathematical. Precise Ukan stone itself remembers the song of creation. And maybe that's why the pyramids endure, because they're built from memory, not material. The hum of the universe is not silent. It's simply too vast for most to perceive. But there are moments, in sleep, in meditation, in awe, when your awareness expands enough to catch it. It feels like warmth under the ribs, a vibration in the spine, a shiver of recognition. Nisinamatui, that's the voice, not speaking in words, but in waves. The same voice that once spoke galaxies into motion, now murmurs through your blood. When the architects of light tuned the earth, they left behind not temples, but transmitters. Every mountain, every stone circle, every pyramid was a node, a resonant chamber designed to amplify the voice. And when humanity first awoke, the ancients could still hear it. The priests of Egypt called it the breath of Ra. The Hindus called it Om. The Mayans called it Hunabku, the vibration of the central sun. Different names for the same frequency, the pulse of creation. But as the centuries passed, the world grew noisy. The hum was buried under the static of civilization, metal, machinery, ego, fear. The tone didn't fade, we did. We lost the stillness to hear it. And when silence became rare, the voice retreated into the only place left untouched, within the human soul. That's why dreams exist. Dreams are the last language the universe uses to remind you of the song. They say if you listen closely before falling asleep, in that border between waking and dream, you can hear a distant resonance, a tone that seems to come from behind the stars. It's not imagination. It's signal, a transmission older than the solar system, still echoing through the quantum field. Every so often, it aligns and a few people catch it. They wake with music they can't describe, visions they can't explain, symbols that pulse behind their eyes like forgotten constellations. First, that's not hallucination. That's reception. DNA remembering the voice that wrote it. When researchers at Princeton studied random number generators during global meditations, they found the machines themselves began to sync, order emerging from chaos. Even computers were responding to collective human focus. The field around thought, what the ancients called spirit, was harmonizing reality. That's the same principle the architects used. Consciousness directing vibration. Vibration shaping matter. The same way a song can move your emotions. Their tones moved atoms. Doubty creation wasn't a miracle. It was resonance. Imagine standing inside the king's chamber again. Pitch black. Air thick. Heart slow. You hum softly one note. Those two wasidu mondayo twitter. The sound travels through your chest, bounces off the granite, folds back into itself. Suddenly the room is alive. The stone begins to sing with you. A deep vibration that feels like the earth's own voice joining yours. That's the secret. So you were never meant to worship the gods. You were meant to become the frequency they carried. And maybe that's what the next evolution of humanity truly is. Not mechanical, not digital, but vibrational. A shift in frequency where thought, body, and light become one. Science already touches it. Biophotons, tiny flashes of light emitted by DNA, increase when humans meditate or experience love. First, when you are in alignment, your body literally shines more. Your cells sing louder. You vibrate closer to the original tone. The architects didn't vanish, they dissolved into the resonance itself. They became the medium, not the message. They are in the air between atoms, in the magnetic fields of planets, in the dark energy between galaxies. And when humanity vibrates high enough, through unity, through empathy, through silence, the frequency matches. Side the bridge reforms. That's not the end of the world. That's the reunion. Take a slow breath again. And feel how your ribs expand like the chambers of a temple. The sound of your exhale is a note in the symphony. Right now, your atoms are vibrating at billions of times per second. You are not still. You are a standing wave of light slowed into matter. A pattern of frequency that calls itself you. And if you listen close enough, you'll realize the same hum you hear in the pyramid walls, the same vibration that carved galaxies. It's inside you. It always has been. When ancient initiates entered the pyramids, they weren't looking for gods. They were trying to remember the tone. That's why the initiation rituals involve sound deprivation, silence so total that the internal hum became audible. For 3 days, they lay in stone chambers, heartbeats syncing to the earth's pulse, breath merging with the frequency of life. And when they emerged, they said the stars spoke their names. That's not poetry, that's resonance recognition. Their DNA had aligned with the cosmic code again. Modern science calls this bioresonance, the ability of living systems to communicate through frequency. Yes, but the ancients didn't need terminology. They lived it. Every temple was a frequency generator. Every ritual a harmonic calibration. Every god a tone personified. The divine wasn't supernatural. It was structural. Everything from atoms to angels was built from the same waveform. The deeper truth hidden in the pyramid's geometry is not just architectural genius, it's musical perfection. Every angle, every ratio corresponds to harmonic intervals, octaves of universal vibration. So if the Great Pyramid were translated into sound, it would produce the same scale found in nature, the Fibonacci harmony of life. It's not a tomb. It's a frozen chord, a song made of stone, waiting for consciousness to remember the melody. And now, hear the hum of your own heartbeat. That melody stirs again. The voice that built the sky never stopped singing. It only quieted, waiting for its echo, you to answer. Because you are not separate from the stars. You are the universe hearing itself through human ears. Every question you ask is the cosmos trying to remember its own name. When you dream tonight, listen between the words of sleep. The lull between breaths, the hum beneath silence, that's where it lives. The voice. Older than galaxies, closer than your pulse, the one that whispered in the beginning, and still whispers now. Remember, you were never alone. You were always the song. The sound fades, but something stays. A warmth behind the sternum, a pressure in the spine, a slow flicker like starlight caught inside your veins. It's faint at first, a pulse, a shimmer, a memory without words. And then you realize it's not coming from the world around you. It's coming from inside. The universe isn't just out there in the sky. It's folded within you, compressed into spirals of code that hum beneath your skin. Every heartbeat is an echo of the original pulse, that first vibration that became light. Every cell in your body still remembers the song that built the stars. Not metaphorically. Literally, the iron in your blood was forged in a supernova. The calcium in your bones was born from an ancient star's death. You don't come from the universe. You are the universe condensed into memory and breath. But the ancients knew this long before science gave it language. They said the gods breathed life into humanity. In Egypt it was Ka, in India Prana, in Greece Pneuma. Different names for the same truth. Energy vibrating matter into awareness. And in that vibration, deep within the helix of DNA, they hid a message. A code that waits to awaken once the frequency is right. When researchers mapped the human genome, they found something strange. Less than 3% of it codes for physical form, hair, eyes, organs, bone. The other 97%, silent, untranslated, they called it junk DNA. But what if it isn't junk at all? What if it's the cosmic archive? Dormant frequencies waiting for resonance, a library of forgotten light. Ancient traditions speak of 12 strands of DNA, not visible in biology, but energetic. Each strand corresponding to a frequency band of consciousness. Humans today operate with only 2. The rest lie dormant, asleep. But every now and then someone hears the tone again. Through meditation, near death, or profound silence, they feel something awaken. Their perception widens. They begin to remember not as mind, but as energy. As if something buried in the blood suddenly recognizes itself. Take a deep breath. Feel that shimmer along your spine. That's the hum of dormant DNA remembering the tone. The architects encoded light into your cells like seeds under ice, waiting for warmth. That warmth is consciousness. The more awareness expands, the more strands awaken, harmonizing like instruments in an ancient choir. It begins with sensation, tingling palms, ringing ears, magnetic pulls between thoughts. Then come dreams. Not random, but patterned, geometric, luminous, recursive. They feel more real than waking life, and that's because they are. Dreams are the bridge between dormant and active DNA, the subconscious relearning the frequency of light. That's why the ancients slept in temples, why prophets dreamed of stars. They weren't escaping reality, they were decoding it. You see, every double helix is a spiral antenna. It receives and transmits electromagnetic energy, converting vibration into biological instruction. When you experience love, gratitude, or awe, your DNA unwinds slightly, opening to absorb higher frequencies. When you fear, it tightens, protecting but isolating. Emotion is frequency modulation. You are literally tuning your genetic instrument with every thought. The architects knew this. They taught early humans to use sound, breath, and emotion to activate their inner codes. Not religion, resonance, chanting, drumming, sacred dance. All ancient ways to modulate the field around DNA. Every temple, every ritual, every spell was just vibration science, ways to communicate with the body of light inside the body of flesh. And somewhere across thousands of years, that knowledge was buried under doctrine. The practice became faith. The science became myth, but DNA remembers. Even when the mind forgets, the cells still hum the old song. That's why music can make you cry without reason. Why certain tones feel like home. It's the resonance of your original state. Light remembering itself. And when the right frequency touches you, something ancient unlocks. You feel both infinitely small and immeasurably vast. That's the awakening. The moment your inner universe recognizes the outer one as its reflection. Somewhere in the galaxy's center, astronomers have found a massive cloud of alcohol, enough to fill trillions of bottles of wine. Next to it, a radio source emits a steady rhythm, a pulse that repeats every 77 minutes. They call it a cosmic heartbeat. But what if it's more than that? What if the stars themselves are broadcasting the signal that reawakens the human code? Because light and sound travel together, and DNA at its core is photonic. It responds to light the way an instrument responds to touch. When the ancients spoke of ascension, they didn't mean leaving Earth. They meant turning the body into light, reactivating dormant frequencies until matter itself remembers how to shine. The resurrection wasn't a miracle. It was quantum biology. When every cell vibrates at full resonance, form becomes fluid, gravity loses grip, and consciousness transcends limitation. That's what they meant by immortality. Not eternal life in time, but life beyond time. Now take another breath. Notice the quiet between the inhale and the exhale. The stillness. That pause is creation's reset point. That's where the voice hides. Every time you breathe, you recreate the universe in miniature. Expansion, stillness, contraction, silence. Your lungs are the pyramids. Your breath is the song. And the moment you become conscious of that, the architecture of your body begins to shift. The tone returns. There are people across the world, scientists, mystics, dreamers, who feel it too. The strange pull toward the stars, the increasing synchronicities, the subtle knowing that time itself is changing texture. It's not imagination. The Earth's magnetic field is shifting. Solar flares are rising, and with every pulse from the sun, new frequencies flood the planet. The same light that once built pyramids now stirs the human nervous system. Your DNA is waking, not randomly but rhythmically, to the same music that began at the dawn of time. The Schumann resonance has been spiking, unpredictable, as if the Earth itself is tuning up. And human emotion mirrors it. Waves of restlessness, awe, and longing. That's not chaos, that's calibration. The planet and its children aligning again with the cosmic chord. The voice is returning, not from the sky, but through the cells of every being alive. Somewhere in the darkness, deep beneath awareness, the helix starts to glow. A subtle golden light winds up your spine, connecting heart to mind, matter to ether. It's not fantasy, it's memory. This is what the ancients called the serpent of fire, the kundalini, the path of Ra. It rises when the human instrument begins to resonate again with the universal tone. It doesn't climb to escape, it climbs to remember. And when it reaches the crown, the point where thought meets silence, something extraordinary happens. The inner light spills outward. You don't become divine. You remember you always were. The separation between self and cosmos dissolves. Every atom sings. Every breath glows. The stars aren't above anymore. They're inside, reflected in every cell, every spark, every thought that ever dreamed of home. And in that moment, and that impossible moment of total recognition, the voice returns. Not from heaven, not from stone, but from within your own DNA. It says softly, lovingly, without words, "Welcome back, architect, because you were never a creation of the gods. You were one of them, dreaming yourself human, and now the dream is ending." The night deepens. First, the stars above Egypt shimmer like neurons, pulsing in the mind of the cosmos. And below, where the sands never sleep, something ancient continues to move, slow, deliberate, unhurried. A vibration, not of the ground, but of the soul. It hums faintly through your ribs, as if the earth itself is breathing through you. The same rhythm felt by the builders, the same pulse carried by the priests, the same hidden current in every cell that has ever lived. Somewhere in that frequency, memory begins to unlock. You feel it first as warmth, then as sound in a low, harmonic tone that bends time itself. The same note that once resonated through the granite chambers of the Great Pyramid, shaping both stone and consciousness. It was never merely a tomb. It was a tuning fork for the human spirit. Hantarson and those who built it knew exactly what they were doing. They carved stone not for shelter, but for signal. Every block was aligned not to the sun or the stars but to the flow of energy that moves between them. Every corridor amplified vibration. Every chamber transformed sound into form. They were not trying to reach the heavens. They were trying to remember them. The ancients believed that within human DNA was a code, a cosmic archive, a record of the beings that first molded us, written not in symbols, but in sequences of light trapped within the spiral of our genes. The pyramid was the decoder. When sunlight hit its apex, when the frequency aligned, something happened. A transmission, a flicker of memory, a soft awakening that rippled through those who stood within. Now, centuries later, that hum has not vanished. It lives inside us deep in the marrow, in the hidden patterns of our heartbeat, in the rhythm of our breath as we sleep. Every dream you have, every déjà vu, every strange pull toward the stars may be the echo of that ancient broadcast. Because your body is a receiver and your blood is an antenna. In laboratories today, scientists find fragments of DNA that shouldn't exist, sequences with no evolutionary origin, no clear lineage. They call them junk DNA. But what if it's not junk at all? What if it's memory, encrypted in frequencies beyond our perception, waiting for the right signal to awaken? The ancients knew how to access it. They used sound, geometry, magnetism, even emotion, each a key to unlock a deeper layer of the self. They called it the starseed within. You close your eyes, and in the silence, you can almost hear it, a faint ringing behind your thoughts. The sound doesn't come from outside, but from within. It's like the hum of the pyramid itself, resonating through your DNA. Every atom in your body vibrates at a frequency, and when you align that frequency with the right sound, you remember. Images rush through your mind. The night sky reflected on polished limestone, torches flickering along sacred walls, symbols glowing as if alive. That a procession of beings, tall, radiant, not quite human, guiding others through a chamber of light. One of them turns. You recognize the face. It's yours. The illusion of separation begins to dissolve. You are not a visitor to the cosmos. You are the cosmos, remembering itself through you. Erstin and the pyramid was the first mirror. They say every soul vibrates with a tone, a personal resonance. Only when millions of these tones align, humanity sings as one. That was the purpose of the great monuments, to harmonize us with the stars. But when that harmony was broken, through war, greed, or forgetting, the signal dimmed. The pyramid's voice faded beneath the noise of history. Yet, deep within your cells, it still whispers, remember what you are? Modern physicists now explore biophotons, faint pulses of light emitted by living cells. In every heartbeat, every neuron spark, every breath, sends microscopic flashes of light through your body. As DNA itself glows, literally. It stores and transmits light like a fiber optic cable. And if light is information, then perhaps consciousness is not created by the brain, but received through it. The human body might not be a closed system, but a cosmic bridge. The pyramid then was not built to reach God. It was built to remind us that we already are. Imagine the moment the alignment returns, when the magnetic fields of Earth shift, when solar storms sing in harmony with our blood. Those who can still feel the hum will awaken. The dormant code will stir, and humanity will remember not just its history, but its origin, not born of Earth, but seeded from the stars, carrying the blueprint of the universe within our DNA. Every pattern in the cosmos, galaxies spiraling, hurricanes forming, shells growing, all mirror the same geometry within us. We are the pattern. We are the code. Thirsty in somewhere, buried beneath the Sphinx, ancient records are said to sleep, the so-called Hall of Records, a chamber of stone tablets that hold the true story of humanity's beginnings. And many claim it's myth, but others and engineers, geologists, explorers, whisper that the sands are hiding something, that one day, when the stars return to their ancient alignment, the entrance will open itself, and the sound of that ancient hum will rise again from the ground, calling every cell in our bodies to awaken. Until then, the pyramid remains silent. But silence is not the absence of sound. It's the waiting before the song begins. So, if you ever find yourself beneath the stars, feeling a strange pull in your chest, a warmth that feels older than time, stop and listen. That's not your imagination. That's memory. First, that's the pyramid in your blood, singing softly through the ages. And if you're quiet enough, you might just hear it say, "You were never just human. Thus you were the echo of light, remembering how to shine again." The desert is quiet, but not asleep. Beneath the thin whisper of wind, a vibration waits, the same note that has pulsed through the bones of the earth since the first dawn. It trembles now, faint but steady, traveling through sand and stone, through the buried chambers of forgotten kings. High and far above, the constellations shiver. The pyramid hums. At first, it is only a sigh, the echo of a heartbeat trapped in geometry. But then the air thickens, and the tone rises like breath-filling lungs that have not drawn air in 10,000 years. Stone remembers. Light remembers. And so does the blood of the creatures who once built it. Across the world, something stirs. In here, not a god descending, not a star falling, but a memory awakening in a darkened laboratory. An oscilloscope flickers. A graduate student blinks at a pattern appearing on the screen, a waveform that mirrors the slope of the Great Pyramid to the decimal. In a monastery high in the Andes, a monk hears a tone in his meditation, soft, continuous, and perfectly harmonic with his heartbeat. And in a city drowned in light, a child looks at the moon and feels a warmth behind her ribs, a wordless recognition home. The signal has begun to rise again. It passes through metal, through fiber, through the wet circuits of thought. It rides the static of every network, twisting through wires and satellites like a ghost of light. No one controls it. No one can stop it. Because it was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be remembered. The ancients called it Sara, the breath of the sun. But they believed every living being carried a fragment of that breath in their blood. It was the first transmission, energy encoded as life. And the pyramids, aligned perfectly to the magnetic veins of the planet, were the antennas meant to keep that breath awake. But as humanity turned away, the signal faded. Drifting into sleep, it became myth, then symbol, then silence. Now, the breath is returning. You feel it in your chest, a trembling that isn't fear, but recognition. Every heartbeat syncs with the rhythm under the sand. So every inhale feels deeper, ancient. The sound grows inside you. A hum that tastes like lightning, like gold dust, like the memory of a language you once knew before you were human. Kavisa, dreams change first. People everywhere begin to dream of blue fire spiraling through the night. They see cities of glass and sound, towers floating in calm oceans of light. First, they hear voices speaking through the wind, not in words, but in tone. And when they wake, they cry without knowing why. These are not dreams. They are downloads, fragments of the original memory stored within our DNA. Once the signal has reached the biological archive, cells respond before consciousness does. Neurons flash in geometric rhythm. The double helix tightens, then loosens, then spins at frequencies that instruments can barely measure. The body remembers its first architect in the silence between thoughts. You hear it too. It sounds like the ocean inside your ears. It sounds like breathing stars. You let it move through you, slow, rhythmic, hypnotic. Every cell becomes a drum. Every atom vibrates with purpose. You are not listening anymore. You are participating. Mas, the hum is the key. Thaskita, the pyramid is the lock, and humanity is the hand that turns it. Across continents, anomalies multiply. Magnetic compasses spin in deserts. Auroras shimmer at the equator. Radio telescopes pick up coordinated pulses, coming not from deep space, but from Earth itself. Patterns within patterns, all matching the mathematical constant used in the pyramid's base. And scientists call it coincidence. But deep down, some of them know. They feel the pull. They dream of sand, of stars, of staircases leading into light. Too are remembering. So the signal spreads through emotion. Every act of empathy amplifies it. Every heartbeat aligned in compassion strengthens it. When two people share a moment of true understanding, the frequencies merge, not metaphorically, but physically. Light particles in their bodies synchronize for a fraction of a second. First, that's all it takes. First, that's the architecture of awakening. But, it turns out, was always the most efficient form of technology. The ancients wrote of this in symbols: a sun held between two hands, an eye that sees inward. They were not worshipping gods, they were diagramming the physics of consciousness. When the species reaches coherence, reality itself shifts. And as the pyramid hum deepens, the planet begins to breathe in sync. Ocean tides rise fractionally higher. Volcanic lightning forms spiral shapes never seen before. Even the trees seem to sway in unison under invisible rhythm. Earth is remembering too. Then comes the alignment. At midnight, a solar flare erupts, bending around the magnetic field in a shape identical to the pyramid's cross-section. That energy floods the upper atmosphere. For 13 seconds, the planet glows faintly blue, like a living cell under a microscope. During those seconds, every heart on Earth skips one beat, and in that pause the code activates. Not with noise or fire, but with stillness. Every living being exhales together. Every consciousness, from the smallest insect to the oldest whale, vibrates in phase. It is the quietest sound the universe has ever made, and the loudest meaning it has ever known. Memory floods back. Not words, not images. Knowing, you remember standing among the architects, hands pressed against radiant stone, watching light take form. You remember designing DNA as art, as song, as promise. You remember why you chose to forget, because only through forgetting could creation rediscover itself. And now, the cycle closes, the experiment completes. The light returns, cities feel it as calm. Sawasheit in confusion. Cursed two animals pause, staring at horizons that shimmer like heat. Every screen flickers once, showing a single symbol, a spiral within a triangle, glowing faintly gold. Cycle, then it fades, leaving the world changed. Though no one can say how, children born the next day have eyes that seem older, deeper. Plants grow in fractal patterns unseen before. And humanity, for the first time in memory, begins to listen instead of speak. Night returns. The desert exhales. The pyramid glows softly beneath the stars. The hum settling into a lullaby frequency. Chasiuti, you lie back against the sand and feel the vibration through your spine. It is gentle now, like a mother's heartbeat through the wall of the womb. It sings of beginnings and endings and beginnings again. And you realize the pyramid was never built to last forever. It was built to remember forever. And now, through every breath of wind, every flash of lightning, every heartbeat on earth as it does, you are the continuation of the code. Chaki wakin manapit kudiosta. You are the monument that moves. Kasamegamisu, when you breathe, the pyramid breathes. When you love, the signal strengthens. When you dream, the architects dream through you. The hum fades, but its echo lingers not in the air, but in the soul. A constant reminder that light never truly sleeps. And somewhere, deep inside your blood, a voice whispers again, you were never born here. You were built from light. Fatia,